Welcome to this episode of The Inner Estate with your host, Bridget Stuart. Today, my guest is Bill Vernon. Bill, thank you for being our guest.
Well, thank you for having me.
And you are an accomplished businessman, a real estate agent, a business owner, and you're going to share with us today some really incredible perspectives and tactics in terms of how do we value our time. And really, it is one of our most valuable resources, and many people or don't have an awareness around it. So you're going to share with us the power of knowing the value of your time and being strategic and tactical around how you spend it and how you invest it. So tell us more. Tell us more about what this means.
Well, first, I want to thank you, Bridget, for inviting me on. We've known each other for a little while.
Yes.
You know, what's kind of interesting, Bridget, is when I first met you, because you and I were on different things where we were on Zoom all the time, kind of like this.
Correct. Yes.
And when I finally met you, what kind of surprised me was you're kind of tall
Yes,
for the
I
average.
am.
And so when
Yes.
I probably never told you this. My first impression when I saw you in person was, man, you're tall. And you and I know a guy named Steve Sleater that
Yes.
he's, people see him because he does a lot of coaching and stuff like
Yes.
that on Zoom. And people meet him in real life because the dude is big. What is he,
He's
six,
really
seven,
tall.
six,
Yes. Yeah.
and he's not just tall, he fills the space,
Broad.
right?
Correct.
Right, right. And people are just like amazing. Well, I just want to tell everybody that I don't look this bad usually. I actually kind of look like Brad Pitt. So
That's
if you're
right.
shocked, if you're shocked when you meet me, I just want to. Okay, let's get serious though. We want to talk about time, and it's really I'm a baby boomer.
Hmm.
I always kind of joke I want to be the last of the baby boomers. And so time kind of matters to me. I saw something. I follow a certain breed of dogs on Facebook. Yes, the time guy, the time Nazi is about to tell you he deaf squirrels, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm on
There you go.
Facebook. Okay, I'm on Facebook following my certain breed that I love, and a gentleman was taking his dog on these vacations, and there's this cute picture of him walking with the dog in on a hike, the dog probably in Lake Tahoe or somewhere like that.
Hmm.
The dog was just wistfully looking out over the lake, and it says, "I have 11 summers with him, and
That's
I'm
right.
making them count."
That's right.
So there's one of, I'm going to talk to you guys about 5 strategic principles that I kind of think about,
Hmm.
as well as some tactical stuff that we'll talk about that kind of lead into the principles. So the first principle is I embrace my limitations and accept that I do have 11 summers.
Yes.
And we really, you and I kind of walk around thinking we're all okay. I won't tell you the long rabbit trail of I went and did one of those full body scans, how I
Right.
got involved in that. I walked in there and I was healthy. I did the
Yes.
body screen and then I come out and now I have a cardiologist, a GI guy. I have, my GP is just going, dude, you know. So we got to realize that there's some finite principles to our life. There's
Agreed.
there's a time we're a candle and we're going to burn out at some point.
Yes.
So that leads to, this embracing that and understanding that, hey, I need to happen to life and not have life happen to me. And I need to kind of think about that. And the next thing is I focus on what matters. You know this. My daughter last year was her senior year. We just dropped her off at college. There's another now
Congratulations.
this is yeah, thank you. She's phenomenal. What is kind of interesting there is there's this thing that people throw around, and I think it's kind of not totally true that I've spent 90% of my time with her. However,
Right.
you kind of go, hey, now, what's funny is Saturday evening, she's hitting my phone, FaceTiming. Hey, I have a computer problem. She's talking to her mom all the time. So I don't know if we're totally out of her life, but that's all to point to this. During her senior year, she played ball, and I made it a point. I don't care if Bridget called me during a ball game. By the way, her won in her division state championship.
Excellent.
And I was just like, we're not going to miss any of that. That was
That's
my
right.
so you got to really think on what matters. One of the tactical things on that is something that I really want people to think about is what is the top thing in your life? What are the top things in your life? What are in Warren Buffett tells us, I want you to write me down the 20 top things in your life.
It's a great exercise.
Okay.
It's
But
phenomenal.
yeah, right. But here's the deal. You're only going to choose the top 5.
5. That's exactly right.
Okay. Maybe it's the top 3. There's 3, 2, I don't know. I'm not good at math. High D. So you choose the top 5, those top 20, you never look at again. If they show up in your life, they're gone
That's right.
because top that top 15, that bottom 15, however you want to look at it, is actually going to impede you on your top 5.
5, and it will steal from the top 5. And
Right.
if you are not careful, all of it that's, I think, when a lot of people find themselves out of balance or they feel like something's not quite right, but they can't put their finger on it, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, I allowed one of the lower 15 to enter and interfere with the top 5."
Right. So you know, last year, and it's not like for my lifetime, the top 5. Now, maybe you could have said, and it is, my top 5 is my family. It's actually what, it's pretty, it's in the, it's pretty important.
Right.
So Sarah last year was doing senior stuff. Do I care about the bottom 15 that kind of would try to leak in to that? And the answer was I did not allow it. So that is what truly was imperative in my life, was for me to be there for my daughter so that one day she's going to remember that. You know, hug that a couple of hugs that when she got their state champ, she's going to remember that hug and what I
She will.
said to her. We went to Germany, her last basketball game. I know it's going to be her last real basketball game. We went to Germany and she played for a US team, and there was the last competitive game, right? And I hugged her and just, and it was kind of interesting. One of the fathers figured it out and said, Man, that was real important. Yeah, that should be your focus. Okay, here's number 3. Accept uncertainty in your life. Okay.
Mhm.
Life is unpredictable. We have to live with that, not try to control it. Again, I'm a big, this, I'm a big disc guy.
Right, right.
It's almost a, quasi religion with me. If the high seas, I got to control it. I mean, I got to, you know, stuff happens. Okay. And so so don't freak out about that. I think, I saw this recently on a podcast. I'm trying to remember the guy, Kevin O'Leary. Is
Okay,
he,
yes. I
yeah,
know
I'm
that
trying,
name. Yeah.
he's at, what's that show with,
Shark.
Shark Tank. Yeah.
Sh
So Mr. O'Leary was talking because he was buddies, or he actually worked for Steve Jobs.
Right.
And so there's a little snippet, go watch it. I would encourage you. But they did a thing where they signal to noise ratio. So someone like Elon Musk would be a current, I mean, think about this. There's kids out there who are not going to know really who Steve Jobs was, right?
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
So where's a current person like him? It'd be Elon Musk. Okay. So The single part is that is my focus for the day. That's what I'm gonna do. 3 or 4 things. Again, it's amazing how that keeps popping up here. What are your most important things? That day, they had 3, they have or have their 3 to 5 things that they're gonna get done that day, period. There is nothing. Okay, there is no noise, okay? So we talk about now they're that extreme, and they can be because why? They're billionaires,
Yes. Yeah.
okay? If I wished I had their billionaire problems. I've hung out with a couple of billionaires, and it's funny when they start talking to you, some of the crazy stuff they say.
Correct.
You know, um, and so that ratio is out there. You and I kind of maybe need to understand that maybe that is an 80-20 rule kind of thing. Our 3 to 5 is 80%, and the 20% is noise.
Yes.
I know you got kids, you got family, etc. If my dad called me right now, I would really be debating whether I continue with the interview, right?
Right, right.
You know, that is
Yes.
noise that I want in my life. So I
It's
want
noise that we choose.
you, right.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
And so I don't want a back to it. I want you to focus on what matters. But I also want you to accept that there's going to be some noise that kind of slips in. And we need to kind of really understand that it happens. Well, another thing I love about your podcast is this is not just a business conversation you and I are
Right.
having right now. I don't want your podcast to be pigeonholed. I've listened to a couple of them, and can a stay-at-home mom listen to our conversation and connect with it? And the answer is yes.
Yes. Yes.
You kind of started out, well, Bill's a businessman and yada yada. I got a real estate team up here.
Right, right.
I got my investments, yada yada yada. But I also want you to know I have a little dog that is pretty
Yeah.
important in my life. Okay.
And your family, yeah.
My family, etc. So this is not to pigeonhole this as a business conversation. This is a conversation for everybody. And uncertainty does, we need to accept that, right? The next thing is be present, okay? And being present is pretty darn hard nowadays.
Very hard. And I
Uh-huh.
believe it's almost at a crisis level in our current society.
Right? I don't have it, but it's sitting over there. I have a little saying. Again, folks, I do, I'm a real estate agent. I say my cell phone, if I don't have my cell phone, is like me being a samurai and not having my sword.
Mhm.
It's with me all the time. And there are times where I'm walking in to have dinner with my familia, and what am I doing? You know,
On your phone.
I'm on that phone.
Mhm.
Okay. There's a new rule in my house. I'm not allowed on it after 9:30. Not even to
Perfect.
death scroll.
Good. I love it.
Okay. Not if business people are calling me at 9:30, my office building better be burning. Okay.
Correct, yes.
But I'm down to I'm not death scrolling puppy videos. Okay. I'm actually, hey, put the phone down. Being present in the moment, and I don't want to sound too, I'm a Jesus freak, so I don't sound too Buddhist here, but we gotta live in that moment,
We
not in the
do.
past, not in the future. What is going on? Man, it's my daughter's basketball game. Did you know? Don't tell anybody, Bridget. Don't tell anybody. I turned my phone off the
There you
minute
go. Excellent.
I walked into that building.
Mhm.
Okay. Because where was I going to be?
Present with your daughter in that
Which
game.
was really, yeah, it was really funny because out of the stands comes a real estate broker. And, yeah, uh, no, I'm not going to talk business with you. Instead of I
Yeah,
switched
yeah.
the subject, I switched the subject to the teams, and what was going on and the drama. It was drama. Oh, it was great. So being present and, enjoying that, is just got to be critical in your life. And I think we think a cell phone is a time saving device, a connection, and it isn't. And we really need to be careful with whatever devices we enter. We have washing machines and now robots that vacuum my floor and cut my grass. And we're about to have them, they mop. Okay.
That's right. I have the mop and the vacuum.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
It saves you all this time, doesn't it, Bridget? You have so much more time, don't you, Bridget?
No.
No, 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 we
No.
do not.
No.
We end up doing what with that time that we supposedly bought back? Uh, Being present and understanding the devices in our lives and computers, emails, blah, 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 is, I just think, really kind of critical to, especially, I mean, I'm a high D. Is there anybody else that's going to testify right now about, being a high D? And
Yes, that would be me.
yeah, yeah. I was waiting.
Yes.
Took you long enough.
Also a high D. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and guys, when I say I'm a high D, nothing hits the line. I mean, I'm a rogue elephant, 100% ID.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so am I present in time? The next thing strategically I want us to kind of look at is, and again, is this: um, you're not perfect. Let go of that perfection on time. Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. He without sin. Of course, I'm messing up. Okay, don't put comments about I'm misusing the verse. I know I am. He without sin cast the first stone.
Right.
Kind of attitude of, look, well, let's do this non-religious. Vince Lombardi says what? We chase perfection to catch excellence.
Excellence. That's right.
Okay. Okay. So don't get so, oh my gosh, my noise is now 40% of my day.
I'm a
Uh,
failure.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yada, yada, yada. Except that, back to me being a Jesus freak, I realize I cannot be Jesus. However, does that mean I just stop? And no, the answer is no.
You
You
keep
know,
going. Yeah.
yeah, we all kind of have these issues about, success. But my question is do are you okay with failure? You're going to fail. Just my question is, are you learning from your failures?
Right.
And so I really think that you need to remember that. Bridget, I read a lot. This is, I mean, just crazy. I am a time Nazi. Anytime someone even mentions the word time, I'm like, what about it?
Yeah.
I think there's a King Henry series back in the day. At the end, he's sitting there going, King Henry sitting with one of his dukes, and he sits there and talks about what you can get back. And he's saying, I can get back friends, I can get back money, I can get back whatever. You know what I can't get back is
Time.
time. Okay. And
Yeah.
so my one of my fascinations again is reading books about this. I think a book I read one time, it was great. It was the only reason I got it was do and it was basically what was the day in the lives of poets, artists, writers, and philosophers. Don't
That
ask
sounds
me.
great.
Yeah, it is really a wild book, by the way. Not everybody will sit there and read it, but that's okay. I did it for you. And what I found interesting was that they all did have a schedule.
Uh-huh.
You know, now it was a weird schedule, maybe. Benjamin Franklin. We all know that he was crazy in France. He partied all night, right? Did all sorts of crazy mayhem in France. Did you know he slept 8 hours a day?
Yes, he
And
did.
it was very interesting. He got up very early in the morning and went down to the governmental offices to go find how he could get stuff for the the revolution. Then he went and took a nap for 4 hours.
Mhm.
Then he got up and went and partied all night
Partied all night, that's right. Yeah,
and then slept for 4 hours, right? Okay, and again, some other artists, it was very, very interesting, but what I found was they were very focused. It was kinda interesting. There was 2 writers, again, French writers, don't ask me who they were, but she and he would get up at a certain time, eat breakfast, and then spend all this time writing. Then they would go to lunch, come back and write. And it was very systematic. It was very structured, but it is what it is in our lives. Do we have that structure? Again, are we happening to life or is life happening to
happening
us?
to us.
Yeah,
One of my friends is a successful songwriter,
mhm.
very scheduled, and it is time to write, and I think those of us that are not earning our living in a creative field, I don't think we think that's how it is. We think it's like, "Oh, when you're creative, you wait till the moment strikes, and then when you're inspired, you write the lyric." No, he's got a schedule, he's in an office, he's writing both lyrics and music, like, and he is scheduled about it. Doesn't mean that he has moments of wild inspiration that strike, at a certain time. There's an interesting documentary on Chicago where they talk about that a little bit, and some of their biggest hits did come from some of those moments of inspiration. But some of their biggest hits came when they had scheduled, like, okay, we need to write a song. So it is interesting. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective of a creative in quite a while. So I'm glad you brought that up because it reminded me both of my friend and that documentary, because it is true that you can channel brilliance to a degree, and the brilliance is likely to strike the more consistently you're taking action. So if you schedule it and you invest your time, then you're allowing and giving space for the brilliance to occur.
Yeah, I just love what you're saying because what I want you to think about this again. I'm a baseball guy. They go out there and hit balls, etc. Or if you're a pitcher, you talk about a schedule
Yeah.
during the season. Those guys have a schedule and you don't. Okay, back to what you were okay, so that when they hit the field or they are wanting to okay, he's probably a musician as well as a songwriter. I
Hmm.
guarantee you he sits there and strums on his guitar or
Yes.
plays music on and that okay, those are muscles they are exercising. And my question and challenge to us is why are we not like them?
Hmm.
Whatever we're in, whatever we're doing. And so is it on your schedule and is it a focus of yours? And if it isn't, then guess what? It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Exactly
No.
right. It's
So
not, it's a fantasy.
yeah. Well, it's a goal, it's a wish. Goals are, actually have what? Standards that are going to them. And they're not gonna be perfect. Guys, I'm far from perfect. But I want you guys to really think about these are tactical moves that you can be doing. Okay, let's go off on a business tangent.
Okay.
There's a great book, another book I love, and I guess I'll just mention it real quick. The book is The Road Less Stupid. Now,
Yeah. I love that.
yeah, it's a great book that covers just business in general. And part of the book's little thing is I want you to think, I want you to have time that you are thinking about what? Focusing on this. Now, it might be one of his chapters. I have a tendency to give that book to people in a journal, in a pen, and go, do your thinking.
Right.
And so that's kind of a schedule thing of doing it. I can think of, Gary Keller's one thing in his book. He talks about, speaking of a creative, is Stephen King, you know,
Yes.
and Gary kind of drills down that's in the book, folks, so
Hmm.
we kind of already gone over this, but Gary really drills down has drilled down, of course, you guys can see I have a certain allegiance, and, you know, he's been drilling down on that for the 16 years I've been a Keller Williams agent. Sometimes it's in your face, and he brought a musician up one time and, the guy, "Hey, do you like to practice?" And the answer is no. My goal is fishing. I kinda know about fishing, but do I really know about fishing? The answer is not really. I mean, tying knots on my, hooks are not very. I mean, they get a little elaborate on these knot
Mhm.
tying and, strings and, weights and blah, 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 blah.
And depth and
Okay.
lures and live bait, yeah, it's so
Yeah,
involved.
okay. Yeah, it gets really involved. If I was going to become a person that's really good at fishing, I'm gonna have to really spend some time. It's gonna have to be a schedule, and it's gonna have to be, I'm gonna have, some priorities that are measurable and, look at my progress and what is the outcome. So we go back to, the 3 to 5 things a day or the 5 things that are important, and we really need to prioritize them and have measurable goals, measure the progress so that we have the outcome that we want.
And you've gotta make sure that it is one of the top 5 or it complements one of the top 5. So using that example of the fishing, let's say that you do now have an adult child and you want to make sure you're spending more time with them and they love fishing. Great. Okay, so one of the top 5 is family, and then by learning and mastering that, you're contributing to that 5th one. But if it's out of alignment with any of your top 5, you have to reconsider what are you giving up in order to pursue that.
You're right, and there's no right and wrong, and by the way, it's funny you said that, adult child. There's a certain adult child that I have, that's probably why it popped in my head, is he's a
He's a
fisherman.
fisherman, there you go.
Yeah, and his dad is not, you know, that is work. When I have free time, I do not want to work.
Right.
People go, "Why don't you hunt, Bill? Are you afraid to?" No, you know what I am? I'm afraid of work. I don't want my off time working. But back to it, I love what you just pointed out to people. Great little tidbit there. You know, what are one of my things on that list is family, staying connected with them. God knows I can go off on, you know, and not be present, right?
Right, right.
What was that, number 4? And so, yeah, we just really have to really think about does the fishing stuff, but it needs to be really measured and thought out. So, I'm not going to tell you. I know some of the strategic stuff I talked about. You're kind of thinking, well, I don't need a calendar.
You know that I am calendar robot. I live by my calendar.
Yeah, I know because sometimes Bill doesn't hit your calendar at the right time, and I get phone calls.
Yeah, you do. Yes.
Do I have an
Everyone
appointment
needs
with
a
you?
calendar.
Well, no. I mean, again, it's not because I am a time Nazi. I mean, one of the guys I used to work with got very irritated with me and it was just wild, Bridget, because we were literally across the hall. We had glass so we could see each other.
Right.
Okay. About half the time my door was open. Pretty much I keep my door closed because I'm kind of loud. Even with the door, you
Mhm,
probably can hear me out in the hall.
mhm.
But we could and he would sit there and I remember one time he was sitting there, yeah, Bill and I will meet you at blah 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 time. And oh yeah, look at you.
Pardonnez-moi.
You know exactly what happened. I said, "Did you check?" I mean, out loud as the whole office, probably heard me. It's a two-story office. "Did you check with me to see?" Um, yeah, and that team didn't work too well after a while because,
Right.
um, he didn't realize,
Different perceptions of time.
and it was, uh,
Well,
well, it's perception of time and perception of who was running stuff.
yeah, and I will say on the element of this, when I talk, so I coach a lot of leaders, a lot of business owners, some CEOs, some HR people, and we talk about hiring processes and interviewing a lot. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but I think one of the most critical elements when you're interviewing someone is to find out their perception of on time, late, and early. And you've got to be creative in the way that you ask, because what I have found in the years I've been coaching, when are issues with a team or work, you'd be shocked how often it comes back to different people's perception of on time, late, and early. And then, so sometimes, and then that impacts communication, expectations, all of it. But you've got to nail down that particular element. And so oftentimes interviews don't necessarily ask about that in a way where you get to the truth.
Yeah, I think especially in our current job environment, if you're a Z or listening to us talk right now,
Mhm.
is one of the things you need to get with your boss about is exactly that time. What are your expectations around time? What does that look like? How do I win with you on this
Mhm.
subject? How do I lose with you? Because again, being a high D and a time Nazi, if you show up 5 minutes late, what do you
Yeah.
think my attitude is?
Yeah, right. Yes, and so you just nailed it. And I think the trap a lot of people that are doing interviewing fall into, they'll be like, "Hey, Bill, would you say you're punctual?" What are you gonna say?
Yeah,
Yeah. You don't know what your definition of punctual is, right? So, one, just to give someone an example, a great way to find out is to say, "Bill, I'm gonna ask you a crazy question, okay?
yeah. What's that?
Let's just say that you are supposed to meet someone for lunch and you had a crazy morning, traffic, there's an accident in front of you, thank goodness you weren't in it, uh, and you realize you're gonna be 15 minutes late. How do you feel and what do you do?
Dang, man, there needs to be some phone calling going on.
And
So
how
let's,
do you actually feel about it?"
yeah, not happy. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got,
So, and then, so dive in on that, because people can't fake that. Because I'll give you the converse. "Well, as long as I'm there within 10 minutes, it's fine." To some people, that's true, right? They have a 10-minute gap and they're like, "Oh, they'll be fine. They can order drinks. I'll send them a text to the stoplight saying, 'Hey, order me an iced tea, no sugar.'" So that's how you can actually get the real answer. Then you'll get some people that are saying, that's not possible because I am always 20 minutes early wherever I go, and I
yeah,
have work I
15
do before I go
minutes is I'm
in. Yeah,
late.
is
It's, yeah,
late. Um, that is, so if anyone out there is listening and you're like, how can I actually find out people's true framework, and ask about how they feel? And you gave a fairly tame answer, but I've heard people are like, I might have to pull over and be later because I may throw up. Then you're going to be like, all right, I like the way you talk, right?
oh, yeah, you and I do, right.
Right, yeah, we do. But that is, so if anyone's wondering, how can you actually get that? And you can flip it. So then you say, let's flip it. Let's say that someone's meeting you for lunch and you're already at the restaurant seated and they're 15 minutes late. What would you do and how would you feel? And that's
Well,
gonna give you another insight into their true, what
yeah,
punctual means to
yeah.
them, and then if you're in a customer service or sales industry, our chosen industry, definitely that, you're gonna know how they're going to treat your clients, your vendors, and colleagues. Just for you, and by the way, if you have the same feeling, if you're like, "I love it, I run on LA time, as long as I'm within 10 minutes, it's great," so if you just find alignment there, and you're going to minimize issues, especially in a small business.
Yeah, I think a little chase a rabbit here is there's actually a syndrome where people cannot be on time. A
Yes.
mental, and so I know someone that's in my life, highly accomplished person, many degrees, does, she's gone up She probably shouldn't have said her sex because hopefully she watches this and goes, he's talking about me. Very accomplished person. Love her to death. If she's 15 minutes late, she's on time. And she's not being malicious. And it it is what it is. And so it is kind of interesting. I don't know how many times I actually that the time Nazi would actually cover for because I'm pretty sure without, because I'm a psychoanalyst, that she has that syndrome. Um,
Probably. Right.
because she's not malicious about it. So I just wanted to throw that in that there are some people that, gosh, yeah,
Well, you reminded me, I wanna jump way back. I wanna jump back to when you mentioned, I believe it was, strategy number 2, and identifying those 5 things, and investing making sure that the decisions you're making are supporting those values. And if it's okay, I'd like to share one thing that I'm doing that
please,
I
yes,
believe is special and revolves around this. Anyone who knows me knows I am a music fanatic. I have a huge
really, would
vinyl.
never guess it by
Yeah,
looking
never
behind you.
guess. I know. And The Who is my favorite. So you should feel very honored today because that's one of my favorite Who albums back there. But I decided as a special series of memories and time that I wanted to invest with my son Ethan. I wanted to take him to see, and my son Nolan too, but Nolan is independent and now living across the country. But with my son, I wanted to create the memories of taking him to see concerts of all the bands I've loved my whole life, which, by the way, he loves too because he's listened to it for 22 years, right? Or
Okay, yeah, right, yeah,
23 because he was
same
hearing
here,
it
my
in utero.
kids, yeah, my
Yeah.
kids, yeah.
And that is something that I do with purpose and effort. I'm not going to bore everyone with everyone that we've seen, but it's a very impressive list. I think for his age, he probably would win a contest, of like, who've you seen? And he loves that. And I think to myself, because I'm not going to be here forever. And on occasion, I will think about when he has kids and he can share those stories. How,
Mhm.
"Oh, your grandma, she's took me to all these concerts, and I saw bands that most people my age never saw, and we spent that time together, and I've got the T-shirts," or, whatever it is, however it manifests in the future. I feel like that is honoring one of the most valuable and important things in my life, which is family, and it's incorporating it in a way that I believe, hopefully, is gonna be memorable and is going to last in a legacy style manner, and my dream is, which I haven't said this to him, but my dream is that he will then do that with his children in the future. And hopefully, we're going to be around long enough where it could be the 3 generations going to see
The
the
Who?
concerts together.
They'll probably be around.
So, yeah, they're still gonna be out there. So I just wanted to give an example because as you were talking, I thought, "Oh, now that I think about that, that is a way that this is showing up in my life in a way that I find very meaningful."
Yeah, again, I wanna be careful here of us not making this a focus of business. Business what is the, Zig Ziglar line? "Show me a man's checkbook" he was a sexist. "Show me a man's checkbook in his calendar, and I'll show you what is important to him."
Importance, that's right.
Okay? Now, you know, I sat there now, I just was mean to Zig Ziglar, by the way, a very, very Christian man.
I love Zig Ziglar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. His pastor said, through his business teachings, I saw God in a different light. And so when you're hearing some of his sayings, I want you to think about that. But that is a critical thing. Zig Ziglar and I kind of think business, and we are business people. However, we need to take these skills and move them over into our lives. I have a lot of friction with some of my business partners because you know what? They're not really business people.
Mhm.
And when I come in and go, hey, what is your GPS? What's your 411? Again, people, look at this up above me. What is your GPS? What's your 411? Do you have your and, I don't care if it's on your phone, if it's what, the bold maps bold, I love that one. If it's an actual, a book, I'm gonna
Right.
look at my age, whatever it is. But I want you guys to get, if you take something away from this video tonight today, is I want you to go look at your checkbook and at your calendar and tell me what is important in your life.
Right.
And is that what you want to be important in your life? Is that going to be your 3, 5 important things? Or are you scattered over 20 something? So I just hope that's what everybody gets out of this is, you know, there there's the action step, but your call to action, for you business freaks is to really I love that story you just shared with me because your music is better than the stuff his contemporaries throw out.
Let's give everyone, I like to do this with guests. So what if you and I both give anyone listening, because I got to tell you, I feel like post COVID, so the rug was universally just yanked out from everyone,
Uh-huh, yeah,
and
yeah,
now I feel like people are having difficulty reconnecting in person,
yeah,
getting back on a calendar, kind of being present and out in the world again. Some people are thriving with it, and I think some others are still stuck in kind of a quagmire or a whirlpool, and they're treading water, but they're not quite getting out of it. And a lot of it has to do with time. So they got, let's say, I don't want to be dramatic, but addicted to online. They got addicted to their phone. They maybe lost some social skills in the last 5 years. Could you and I each give them at least one very practical thing that they could do right now? We've discussed a few. You could certainly go back to some of the few you've shared, but let's each give one tip. So, anyone listening, if they're like, I get it, I like what they're talking about, I don't even know where to start, where would you recommend starting?
I'd recommend that you take a written calendar daily. Go to a Wally World or whatever, get you a written calendar. I want you to open it up. And again, I think as a business person, this happens a lot of time. You you start putting down, in my world
Hmm.
and should be in a lot of other business worlds, prospecting, looking for clients. But that goes first on no, that does not go first. What goes first, and what I want you to answer your question, do is put your son's what are the concerts? Go look at the bands, go look at his calendar because I
Hmm.
know your son has a life. Where do these match?
Right.
Let's go to these concerts. Put that stuff down. Again, this kind of business thing, call people in your life and go have a lunch with them.
Yes.
Your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, I don't care. Friends, okay? And make it, I want to have lunch with you. I want to have breakfast with you. And sit down and have real conversations. Bill, turn your phone off and have, you know, gosh, and I do this stuff, folks. I'm not perfect at it, but I was sitting down having a conversation with one of my cousins, and I was like, I'm just stunned. I didn't know that about you. And
Right.
it was it was a big deal. And I was just like, you know, we go to Thanksgiving dinner and I didn't know this about you, you know.
So get curious.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want you to take that calendar and, you know, quarterly, I don't care how you do it, sit down and figure out how you're going to rebuild those relationships that were
Good.
broken. Yeah.
Good. I'm going to throw out there being present and being the change that you want to see. So I can share with you all, my son and I, we made an agreement years ago that when we're having a meal, there are no phones. And he started this, I think he was 16ish, 15, 16 when we started that. And there are no phones. And so now, even when I'm with other people, I don't have any phone. So what's funny is, and I'm not putting anyone down, but sometimes they'll have their phone out and they may scroll or look or to go find something. What I've noticed, if you just sit present in the moment with a neutral face or a smile, and you just are, you're nothing, there's nothing punitive. You're
You're not a
just
saint.
neutral.
Right,
You're just
right.
there, right?
Not being yeah, you're not
You'll
condemning.
be surprised. Guess what happened? You don't have to say a word. They will go like this. Sorry. And then they put the phone away. So you
Yeah.
don't have to say a word and you can start being the change. I will say if your family is struggling with it, start sitting at your table again for dinner. No screen. Put on some music. And it is, I think if you're in a family, I think you all should discuss it and say, I have a great idea. How about for the next 30 days, no phones at a meal and get your family to buy into it and just see what would happen in the next 30 days if you did that.
Hey, you might actually have a conversation with them. That'd be shocking.
And yeah, so I think that's the being present part makes such a difference.
Yeah, it
And
does.
so I think it's a great place to start. If you're feeling pulled in directions, overwhelmed, you have a huge to-do list of loose ends that you can't catch up on. So it might sound counterintuitive because you might be sitting there listening to this and saying, well, that's not going to help me get caught up with everything. You'll be shocked. So
I think you will be.
let's give one bonus item. I'll go first this time. Bonus item, and Bill, I do this. Go off grid. Now, when I go off grid, I go not as extreme as like extreme athletes, but I do like 5 days of whitewater rafting in a wilderness area. This coming September, I will be climbing Mount Whitney again. Funny side note with Mount Whitney, no cell service from the base
No,
camp.
really?
Yeah, but guess where there's cell service? At the summit. So right when
At
you
the
get to the
top.
summit, all of a sudden, so it's so funny.
Makes you go fast, doesn't it?
All these people, climb and do this and they get to the summit and all of a sudden you see, which is actually kind of joyful because you see people calling and saying, guess what? I made it. I'm here. So it's heartwarming. It's almost like the
That is
ending scene
wild.
in Love Actually where the people are
Yeah,
meeting at the airport because it's like they're
yeah.
sharing this moment. But it is kind of funny, like zero cell service till the summit and then it's gone again. So I, with intentionality, find places without cell service. I notify all my clients. You've gotten that notification before. I will be off grid. So I tend to go nature, hiking, mountain, whitewater, whatever. Do that for yourself. I don't care if you're a city dweller, great. You with intentionality, you have to leave at home or disconnect. So I wanted to leave that as a final note is look at the rest of this year. If you're scared to do it, I know that's a dramatic word, but frankly, some people would be. Do it
Oh,
for a whole
yeah.
day. Do it just for one whole day. Just a day, right? But go off grid, meaning no computer, no phone, no electronics. I will allow a camera. I will share with you all on Mount Whitney. I'll be getting footage. I'll be taking photos. Okay. But there's going to be no talking to people. And I have my Garmin mini reach, in case there's an emergency. But just go off grid is what I would say. So what's your final nugget that you want to leave with everyone?
Well, I want you to be so present. Here's something that my wife did yesterday. She gave me a gift, and it was really, and this is for my Texans, and it's a cool gift that she gave me, which is it has towns, and you pull it out and you scratch off, and it tells you, hey, go do this in Corpus. Go do
Nice.
this,
Yes.
like, and it tells you, hey, this is going to be inexpensive
Mm-hmm.
or inexpensive. This is gonna, it kind of tells you what it's gonna be. And here's the deal, find that in maybe your state, your area, your region. I know Texas, we're kind of weird that, it was kind of interesting. El Paso's in there. And I'm sitting there going, dang, that's
That's
gonna
far
be worth
away.
it. Yeah, that from where
That's far
where,
away.
yeah, because you know where I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
live, right? But I was sitting there, I stopped with the negativity. "Oh, that's far away." She goes, "There's one in here, it says Fort Davis." I'm like, "Dang, that's gonna take all day to get there. We'd have to
Yeah,
stay there a day and drive
yeah,
back." So,
right.
but I stopped and said, "You know what? That means I'm
Do
gonna
it.
be in my car with my
Well,
wife."
with your wife, listening to The
So
Who.
well, yeah, no, I will actually. It's funny you said that. I've been downloading Who music recently. But so that bonus is to say this, find something like that that makes you
Get out.
get out.
Yep.
Please, people, please. Because back to the time thing. You know what's going to determine how old you and I are going to live is those relationships. It is
Right,
not.
right.
It's not the fact that I never smoke and being a Southern Baptist, never drunk or, whatever. I'm eating kale all day. It is actually your relationships. Trust me. Um,
Yeah, it's true. That's fact. Well, just giving a quick side note on, I mentioned that you are a family man and you are a man of faith. Um, since you were calling yourself Jesus freak, I'll call myself wacky papist. And also you are a business leader, a business owner in multiple businesses, including a family business, and one of your chosen industries, which is also mine, is real estate. We're both, I'd say, leaders in real
that's
estate
my
and real
nine to
estate
five.
agents. Yeah, and you've got the I-5 group, which I love, and you are practicing at Keller Williams Lone Star. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, certainly they can. I have found this very compelling, and it is true. I wake up every day, and I've shared this with people before. One of my former coaches, Matthew Ferry, trained me, and it was long and hard, but he trained me to wake up every day, and the first thought I have every day, and I know you've heard this, Bill, is another day above ground. Let's go get it. It's another day above ground. And I live with that sense of gratitude in my heart when I open my eyes in the morning. My sister says it's probably why I'm single, and that's okay with me, right? So, because I love waking up like that. And we don't know the day, we don't know the hour. And we are stewards of our talents. We're stewards of our money. And what you and I reinforced today is we are stewards of our time. And I want to thank you for this reminder and this deep dive into it. So if anyone has any questions and they'd like to reach out to Bill, you can share quick if you have a quick way you want them to. And I'm going to have
Well, you
all of
can
your
always call me
information
or,
in the description.
yeah, you can always call me or text me on my mobile, 254 Love to
Excellent.
talk to people. Hey, if you're having an issue or a opportunity to grow that you would like some help with, I don't mind a short call. You could be
Hmm.
part of my noise, please.
That's right.
Be part of my 20. You never know, you might become part of my 80.
80. That's right. Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Bill. And I hope you'll come back again.
Anytime you reach
Excellent.
out.
And I hope you all come back again as well. I hope that you will join me in the next episode of The Inner Estate. Have a great day and thank you.